Hello and welcome to the second episode in my Java beginner series. So in today's episode we're going to be looking at variables, and rather than jumping straight into IntelliJ, I've decided to do some demonstrations using my drawing tablet. So to begin with, there are numerous different types of variables which allow you to store different types of data, and the ones which come built into Java we've got integers. Okay, so these are whole numbers. Okay, so this is like this is a 1 or a 7 or a 10. So it's any whole number. So it's numbers you learned about when you were a kid, basically. So then there are floating point numbers. So we call those floats in Java. And there are doubles, which are also another type of floating point number, but they store them in 64-bit, which gives it more precision. So you can store 1.0, 1.7, 20.3, minus 0.13, that kind of thing. And you can also store negative numbers in an integer as well. So just to clarify. Then there are Booleans, which are the most simple of the data types. So these are just named after a guy called Boole, and they are just true or false values. So that could be used to indicate whether someone likes eating apples or all kinds of different things when there's only two states, basically. And then there are also characters. Okay, so that might be a character that's an A. It might be a character 7. It might be a hashtag. It could be any of this. And these are all of the primitive data types in Java. And let's jump into the code so you can see how you can use these now. Okay, so now we're back where we left off in the last episode. And we've got the Hello World program we wrote last time. And I'm going to introduce you to some variables and a really nice feature of Java. So if we do left control shift A on your keyboard, then it will bring up this lovely menu, and then you can type J shell into this. And this lets us execute code and try things out in Java. So to declare a variable in Java, all you do int space, whatever your variable name is. So this variable isn't that important. It's going to be a value, so I'm going to call it x. Although in a bigger project, you want to do more accurate variable names. So if we were storing how many phones someone has, then we might call it int number of phones. And hopefully you only have one phone, because that's a bit weird if you have a lot. But that's an example. Okay. So this means we have stored a number to a variable, and if we click this play button here, then it will run the J shell, and it says we've defined the field int x equals 1. So it just shows us that the code's executed and it's all worked. Using what we've learned in the last episode, we can then print this value. So if we do print line and we give that x, and that isn't going to print the letter x, that's going to print what is stored in the variable x. So if you run this, that's going to print out 1, because 1 is stored inside x. But we can build on this, and we can start using operations on x to do more interesting things. So we could do x equals x times 10. If you do a lot of maths, this might look a bit weird to you. It's not an equation. This is assignment that's going on. So it's redefining what x is to be what x was before times 10. As obviously, if you're doing that from a maths perspective, you'd be like, oh, you can divide x on both sides, and then something weird's going on. But no, that's not what's happening. We're redefining x to be what x was before, multiplied by 10. So if we run this, we get, let's declare the field, then it's saying x is now 10, and then it will print 10. So you can see, because 1 times 10, will make sense. So great, that's all working. Now what if we want to have a number with a decimal point, like I showed earlier? So to do that, so we can use either float or double. Usually people use a double as it gives more precision, as I talked about earlier. So we're going to do that. And we'll do 1.5. And then we can do x equals x times 2. 1.5 times 2 is 3. And we can print that. Have a look. And there we go. It is 3.0. So it all works. Great. Awesome. You can also do division. So to do division, you do x. You could do just the thing divided by, that's the slash symbol, once, and then 3. So we're now doing 1.5. We're multiplying it by 2, which will give 3. And then we're dividing by 3. So this should output 1. And it does. So everything's working correctly. And we can also use float here. And then do an f here. And then that also works. This f is needed because when you omit the letter, it assumes the right hand side is a double. And obviously you can't put a double, which is a big, super precise thing, in a float. As if you think of it like boxes, you can't put a big box inside a smaller box, won't fit. So that's what the f is there to denote. If you want to be really fancy, you can use a D on the end, and now we'll say it's double. Do that. Capital D or lowercase d works. And obviously you can't store this to an int, because a double can't be stored in an int, as they're not the same thing. So, makes some deal of sense. And then we've got characters, which are denoted by writing car. So we can just do our letter. It can be a letter A, and you create a character by doing apostrophes around the letter, or single quotes, whatever you like to call them. And then we can also print this. Let's not do print f, I'll do print line, and then we can run this, and there it gets output A. But the thing you might want to do is you need multiple letters to use a language. So if you want to do the original hello world, that wouldn't work, because a car can only store a single character. So to fix this, we need a string of characters, which is coincidentally the data type name. So we can do string, we'll call our variable hello world, and we use double quotes to create a string, and then we can write hello world on the inside. And now we've created our original application, like so. And we can bring what we've learnt in JShell, so we can close this now, and we can bring it back to real Java code. So we could do some maths, and then we could print it, say. So let's do int. Let's just show what 10 times 10 is in Java. So we can do that by going print line. We're going to go 10 times 10 is equal to, and then we can add a number to the end of this string. So by doing a plus, that's how you can add things to strings. And then we'll do 10 times 10. And then if I've remembered how to write Java correctly, this should work. And 10 times 10 is equal to 100, and it's evaluated the 10 times 10 in Java. Going forward, we'll be able to get user input. So we could create something that can multiply any number by 10 or multiply two user-defined numbers. There's a lot of application for variables, of course. That's like the entire point of programming. And yeah, that's just about everything in this video. So we've covered strings, integers, floating point numbers, and Booleans, as well as characters. I've got that one. And these are the most common data types within Java. Boolean count. So awesome. And we'll end it there. So bye.